going to really be able to execute vengeance on earth, because it said the holy city, New Jerusalem. Let's get Luke 17 and 20 so that we can understand what or really who is coming down out of heaven. Because Lord's will, if we make it, the scriptures say the same way that Yahushua left is how he's going to return. And when he returns in those chariots, then the elect are going to be what? They're going to be beamed up, if you will, for lack of a better word. Now when we come back down, the Lord is going to allow us to get busy. Let's get Luke 17, 20.
This is the book of Luke, chapter 17 and verse 20. It says, and when he was demanded of the Pharisees, when the kingdom of the Most High should come, he answered them and said, the kingdom of the Most High Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua cometh not with observation.
The holy city.
Neither shall they say, lo here or lo there.
New Jerusalem.
For behold, the kingdom of God, Yahweh by Yahushua, is within you.
Exactly. So that's the holy city, that New Jerusalem that was coming down out of the heavens. Let's go back to Luke, Revelation 12, 144. Let's go back to Revelation 21 and 2 real quick. And then let's get Psalm 149 and 5.
It says, and I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from the Most High out of heaven.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So we're going to be able to execute vengeance. And right here in the book of Psalms, this was also prophesied. Start at verse 5.
God, this is the book of Psalms, chapter 49 and 5. It says, let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds.
Right, and we understand that the saints usually, it's really referring to the whole entire nation, but in these days right now, the saints are really only talking about the elect out of the nation of Israel. Because the saints are supposed to be holy, supposed to be separate from this world, from this, the principles, the cultures, the way, really the image of the beast, the image of this current society. But our people, 2/3 of our people, they're hand in hand with this world. So they're not the saints of the Most High. Let's keep going.
Verse 4, verse 6, it says, let the high praises of the Most High Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua be in their mouth and a two-edged sword in their hand to execute vengeance upon the heathen.
And that's going to be a literal sword. Keep going.
Right, God. It says, and punishments upon the people.
So this is what, in Revelation 21, when the Lord's men, the elect, New Jerusalem, come down from heaven, this is exactly what's going to happen. We're going to execute vengeance. And that's the literal sword that's going to happen. Why? Because you touched the apple of the Lord's eye.
Right.
Let's keep going on that,
God. It says to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron.
Now we first just read Malachi 4 and 1. So the day shall come that shall burn as an oven. So if that's the case and we come back down, how is there still going to be men on earth that survived that nuclear destruction? Well, let's get, what is it, Amos, I think it's 9 and 2. You know what I'm talking about? Exactly. Let's get that. Okay. Brother said start at 1, let's do that. Because, listen, you got the elites out of this nation, the nation of Esau, that understand that nuclear war is coming. It's not only capable, but they know for a fact that it's going to manifest. And if that's the case, then why are they, or if it's not going to happen, why are they spending billions of dollars to put these bunkers into place to save themselves? Let's go out.
This is Amos chapter 9 and 1. I saw the Lord standing upon the altar, and he said, smite the lintel of the door that the posts may shake.
Keep going.
And cut them in the head, all of them, and I will slay the last of them with the sword. He that fleeth of them shall not flee away, and he that escapeth of them shall not be delivered.
Yeah, that's how you keep going up.
Come on, verse 2.
Go down to the point. Yeah, no, verse 2. Verse 2, go on.
Verse 2, though they dig into hell, thence shall my hand take them.
Right. Now in this day today, that's referring to these Edomites. Now when it says dig into hell, it's talking about the grave, which is where? Underground. So that's exactly why they're making these bunkers and everything. So the kings and the nobles of these Edomites, as we were reading in Psalm 149, they're going to be the ones that actually what? Survive this upcoming nuclear destruction.
That's right.
And when you have the men of the Lord come down off those ships, we're going to execute vengeance. So we're going to put all those in captivity that had us in captivity. Let's get Deuteronomy 30 and 7 real quick. If you don't mind continuing on Psalm 149 for me. Because listen, vengeance is coming, saith the Lord. All we have to do is wait on him. So we can't go out here and do certain things ourselves, act ourselves as some other Hebrew Israelite camps like to push. Promoting going to the gun range and making sure you got your sharp aim as if you're gonna have enough bullets to survive all of Jacob's trouble. It's just not realistic. So we have to wait on the Lord. And he's gonna endow us with power in order to put these other nations under us, to put us in subjection. Go ahead.
This is Jeremiah 16:16. It says, "Behold, I will send for many fishes, saith the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, and they shall fish them."
And that's what we're doing right now, and that's happening with the word. Keep going.
It says, "And after will I send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain and from every hill and out of the holes of the rocks."
Oh yeah, that's perfect. That aligns right up with Amos in 9th chapter. Out of every mountain and hills and holes of the rocks. And that's exactly what's going to happen very soon.
Right.
And when that does happen, we're going to put all these other nations in captivity. And they will be subject to the laws, statutes, and commandments. Keep going on that.
Psalms 149:8, it says to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron.
So all the Rothschilds, all the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, all of them. Keep going.
It says to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints. Praise ye the Lord. Yahweh Bashim Yahushua.
Exactly. Now what is the judgment written? Well, let's get Deuteronomy 30:7.
It's Deuteronomy chapter 30:7. "And the Lord thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies."
Right. Now when you read the 28th chapter, now we all know from verse 15 on down that it talks about all the curses that came upon us. This is how we understand that the so-called blacks, so-called Hispanics, and so-called Native Americans are the true Hebrew Israelites, because of all the curses that happened to us. Now, to the other nations that put us in captivity, the scriptures say 2 chapters over that all those curses are going to go upon them. So everyone that put us in captivity, they're going to go in captivity. That's what the Bible says. Let's keep going. Read that again.
Come on. Deuteronomy 30:7. "And the Lord thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee."
On them that hate thee. Now you have all these people walking up, and they not only scoff on the highways and byways, but they scoff on YouTube videos. We know they hate us. We know one day, if they truly had the power, they would strive to kill us. Because we're basically speaking up against everything that they stand for. And everything that they stand for is basically what the image of the beast is. They stand for what Esau stands for. Homosexuality. They're okay with pedophilia because guess what? If you're not speaking up against it, that means you're with it. So they're with bestiality. They're with adultery. They're with all of that. Abortion. You see, and if you walk hand in hand with Esau, well, guess what? You're going to experience the judgment of Esau.
That's right.
Now let's go back to what's going to happen to these other nations. Jeremiah 30:16.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 30, and verse 16. It says, "Therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured."
Now the scriptures talk about who devoured us. As a matter of fact, in Psalm 83, it talks about our top enemies. The Edomites. It says the Moabites and the Philistines. So starting with Esau, the self-proclaimed white people, you're going into slavery.
That's right.
And it's not going to be the same kind of slavery that you put us in. We're not going to be dirty, nasty, outright dogs. Because listen, the Lord is going to put a righteous spirit on us, and that's what it talks about in Hebrews and in Jeremiah when it says what? The Lord is going to download basically the laws, statutes, and commandments within our minds. So even in slavery, guess what? These heathens are even still going to have a rest day. They're going to have to abide by the laws, statutes, and commandments. And guess what? Micah 4 says that. Before we keep reading, let's get Micah 4:1 real quick. Yeah. You have a precept? Go ahead, you can read it. While
God, this is Ezekiel chapter 25:12. It says, "Thus saith the Lord power, because that Edom have dealt against the house of Judah by taking vengeance, and have greatly offended, and revenged himself upon them. Therefore, thus saith the Lord power, Yahweh Yahushua, I will also stretch out my hand upon Edom, and will cut off man and beast from it.
Right.
And I will take it desolate from Teman, and they of the Dan shall fall by the sword. And I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel, and they shall do in Edom according to my anger and according to my fury, and they shall know my vengeance, saith Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua.
Exactly, and that's a part of the promise. You see, that's a prophecy in the Old Testament that hasn't really come to pass yet. Now, why don't these Christian churches talk about that? Why don't they ever, I've never, ever, when I was in the church, ever heard my pastor use the word vengeance. I've never heard him say that word.
They don't go into prophecy at all. They don't tell you nothing about, remember the church, they're not expecting the Lord to come back. You know, they're not, because they don't believe in a concept of the kingdom being on. They think when you die, that's the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that they think that that's the kingdom and that the Lord is not coming back, that means all the other prophecies don't even matter. Every single prophecy they read, they can say that already happened, or that already happened, that already happened. But they can't. You can't say that stuff. You know, you can't say that stuff. That's where one thing that guy, I give him credit, that dude Daniela, when he teaches, he likes to go through, he brings out the chronology of things. He'll give you the time frame of things so you can understand it, like this did not happen, this happened. And that's what we do. That's what the church, they don't want our people to be, they don't want them to think. You know, they don't want them to think. That's why if they were to say vengeance, they have to think, damn, that's kind of rough. Why did he say that?
That's hateful.
Yeah, that's hateful, exactly. Vengeance is hateful. It's the Lord saying it to him.
This is Micah chapter 4 and verse 1. But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountains of the house of the Lord shall be established in the top of the mountains.
Right, that mountain or that government or that dominion. Keep going.
Come on. And it shall be exalted above the hills.
Meaning over the governments or dominions of these other nations, because after 1,000 years of captivity for these Edomites, then we're going to leave, and even these other nations, we're going to leave them off to their other land. And they're going to have their little mini governments. That's why the scriptures call them hills right there. But they're still going to be subject under the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. And that's also a part of what we're going to execute. Righteous judgment is coming back to the earth. That's right. Let's keep going out.
Come on. And people shall flow unto it. And many nations shall come and say, come and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord.
Now, what they say over there in Israel is that they're building up the third temple and everything, and that now you have a big influx of the so-called real Jews coming to Israel. Well, if that's the case, first of all, how come the Lord isn't back and bringing them to that nation? Second of all, if that was the case, how come you don't have all these other nations flowing over there to Israel right now? Because the scriptures say that when the real Jews get to that land, then you're going to have the other nations that want to come up and learn of their ways. They're going to want to come up and say, let me worship your God. Let me know what you know. So if they're the real Jews, how come that isn't happening?
I want to say that it should also say that the whole world would be at peace once we return back to our land.
That's very true.
They in war right now. If you over there, there's bombshells going off every day. Somebody getting stabbed every day.
I mean, how are they talking about peace when you got new nuclear missiles being created every other month? I mean, it don't make no sense.
Nah, if I can land back off that point too, then that means the heathen will be coming to us in the month of all days. Because the curse is supposed to be overturned when we get in the kingdom of heaven. Or if the Jews were established, you know? And also, they're supposed to be coming to us to learn of the Heavenly Father. Ain't no heathens up here. Right, and we're not established.
Right.
Keep going now.
That's pursuing the Isaiah the 2nd chapter.
Keep going out, Micah 4. In Ezekiel 21.
Then the mountain of the house of the Lord shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and the people shall flow unto it. And many nations shall come and say, come and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, and to the house of the power of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth out of Zion, for the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem.
Yeah, that's crazy too, because these Christians like to also say what? That the new covenant is for everybody. Now the new covenant, like I already said, is when the laws, statutes, and commandments are basically downloaded in our mind. So if that's the case, who are these people that are flowing to Zion to learn of the laws? So that basically is saying, look, not everybody on earth is going to have the commandments written in them. Let's get Ezekiel 21, or Ezekiel 37 and 21.
Now, this is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 37, verse 21.
Right?
It says, and say unto them, thus saith the Lord power, Yahweh Yahweh Shai, behold, I will take the children of Yasha'Allah from among the heathen, whether they be gone.
Right, and that's another thing that these churches don't speak about. I've never ever heard a Christian pastor use the word scattered. I never hear them talking about this scattered sheep or anything like that, because guess what? They've been told by their higher ups when they established that church to really go only into maybe a few specific verses in the Old Testament. And what they don't go into is the kingdom of heaven in the Old Testament. That's exactly what we're reading about. They don't talk about the tabernacle of David, the house of David, and who his men are. Because if they had to talk about the house of David, then that means they would have to tell you and read the history about his house and what they did to these other nations.
That's right.
Let's keep going, Op.
It says, and I will from among the heathen, whether they be gone, and will gather them on every side and bring them into their own land.
Right. So all the elect, starting with the elect out of the nation of Israel, wherever they've been scattered amongst the four winds of the earth, the Lord is going to come back, and he said he's going to be the one to bring us to our own land. Not some goddamn Balfour Declaration, not some paperwork, or not some self-proclaimed prophecy if you taking airplanes over to the Holy Land. The Lord said we're going back in style. We're going back in his, what you want to call airplanes, the so-called UFOs, the Lord's chariots. Keep going out.
Verse 22, and I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all.
Exactly.
And they shall be no more two nations,
right.
Neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore at all.
Keep going.
Verse 23.
Okay.
Neither shall they defile themselves anymore with their idols.
Exactly.
No.
So like the Zaquan was going into, all those idol worships and under the groves and everything, under every green tree. No. All that's going to stop when the Lord comes back. And if the laws are going to be established, then guess what? Why do you still have gay parades over there in the land of Israel? Why are they still eating pork, eating swine and everything like that? As a matter of fact, I believe they're the biggest exporters and importers of pork is China, of swine is China. So if all the other nations are going to come up and learn of the laws, statutes, and commandments of the true Israelites, why is China still exporting pork? Keep going, Op.
It says,
basic logic cuts the wisdom of this world.
Right.
Keep going.
It says, neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions. But I will save them out of all their dwelling places.
Yo, you know what's so crazy? I mean, this sounds retarded, but I know people that really worship pork, bro. I know there are people at my job, when they come in, I'm telling you, every day they talk about eating bacon. And it's such a vexation to me. You know, sometimes I want to get up and that Gadite spirit want to give him the elbow. You know what I mean? The Rock's elbow. You know, it's something. You know what I mean? It's so annoying sometimes, but that's a part of the vexation that the elect are going to go through. But they really, I promise you, they really are worshiping pork, bruh. They talk about it all the time. We go out to eat, they get nothing but pepperonis and sausages on there. Yo, you think about all the different kind of meats out there, what actual swine can do. You got bacon, right? You got hot dogs, you got ribs. I mean, there's so many different kinds of meats that this world, pork chops, that they made out of just swine's flesh. And now people are gravitating toward that. They don't even know they're worshiping something that's defiling them.
No, just gonna add, which those are just certain cuts of the actual animal, because there is bacon that there's beef bacon, there's turkey bacon, you know, but those are just actual cuts of the animal, you know.
I found out last week that the McRib is made out of tripe and pig hearts, man.
God damn.
the McRib.
Oh,
Tripe and pig heart. So you're eating organs, man. And tripe is the stomach lining.
Well, you know what's so crazy? If our people hold that on the mass scale, they still eat. They wouldn't care. It wouldn't bother them none.
You shouldn't be eating ribs if they don't got no bones in it, man. If you eating ribs and ain't no bones, you're not eating ribs, man. Stop that shit, man.
It's crazy.
That's okay though. Jake gonna continue to eat that. This shit got addictive chemicals in it. That's why people be eating that shit.
Also got Baby Ray's barbecue sauce.
Oh, brother. Baby Ray's, man. All it is, bro.
God, it's a quick
Stop
reset.
using scarcity, bro. You eat that shit too much, you get inflamed. You know what I'm saying? That Baby Ray's is good as shit, though.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 66 and 16. It says, "For by fire and by his sword will the Lord Yahweh shall plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many." It says, "They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens, behind one tree in the midst, eating swine's flesh, and the abomination and the mouse shall be consumed together, saith the Lord Yahweh shall."
Exactly, and we brought that out last week. Sort of kind of going to the same exact topic because people think that's a light thing. Like, oh, it's not that bad, it's just shrimp or it's just pork. But God said that death and destruction is coming unto you because you heard the righteous ways, but you forsook it. You turned your back, which is basically what? That's what the word disrespect means. Disrespect means not to look back. So you're not regarding, not looking back on the ways of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah.
See, the mass amount of these people don't understand it. The laws that the universal laws that the Lord set in order, they have purpose, man. So if you're going around eating up all the crab, the shrimp, you know, these pork, they have a purpose here on earth. You know, which is to keep everything clean, man. So if you're throwing off the natural cycle, or you know, the natural cycle of the earth, what is going to happen to the earth, man? Okay, those creatures are not going to be there to do their jobs. Which happens is it's an imbalance of things, man. You know, cleaning up a fecal matter of other creatures and you know things of that nature. So you're destroying the earth, you're destroying the Lord's creation by not keeping his ways. You know, and that's what the bulk of our people don't understand, man. You know?
Yeah, because I was watching the brothers from North Carolina earlier, and then somebody came up to them and said that the Bible was garbage. But then when you look at it in retrospect, the Bible literally tells you how to dictate yourself. It tells you how to conduct yourself in rulership. It tells you exactly what to do to have life to be everlasting when it comes to the world too, man. All right. So this literally gives us the guidelines to life. But then this book right here is trash. But it tells you exactly what and what not to eat. It tells you exactly what and what not to do. Okay. And then if we are following what just a 25% of what the Bible actually told us to do, wholeheartedly, we wouldn't be in the predicament we're right now. I mean, look at it. Every time I pass DC, I look at the water, and it gets darker and darker every week. And then there's like a little seafood place right when you pass this one other bridge, and they always smell like straight shit over there, man. And the reason why is they eating all the crabs, man. They eating all the shrimps, all the lobster, all the clams. But these things have their purpose according to the Bible. All right, and these things also promote life. Okay? But what? The scriptures say that Esau is as death.
Well, you know what? It's really because, exactly, Esau's ruling. Because what really should be in his textbooks is there should be certain laws about what? You should have marital laws. You should have your dietary laws and what you can't eat and what you can eat. Right? And if doing that, let's say as an example, he went over the unclean foods to us. Well, then next to each unclean food, then maybe he put a little description of why it's unclean, his research, his righteous research that he's found out and what it does for the earth. But because that isn't promoted, then our people don't even think about it.
They don't teach that. They don't teach. I remember they don't teach nutrition in the health class.
No.
They don't go into it.
Let's keep going to Ezekiel 37, finish that out. Okay.
Joshua 1 and 8, this book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and and then thou shalt have good success.
Exactly, but you know what's crazy? I mean, I've actually heard Christians read that, and of course they break it down wrong. It didn't say the book of the Christian religion or the book of this religion. It said the book of the law, because that's what the Lord gave us: laws, statutes, and commandments to follow.
Right.
And that's what you're supposed to meditate on. You don't meditate on some philosophy that was added on top of the Bible that's actually suppressing your people and keeping you down. Let's keep finishing that out,
Khan. Back in the book of Ezekiel 37.
Keep talking about the kingdom of heaven.
Khan. Let's start at 23 again. It says, neither shall they defile themselves anymore with their idols, nor with their detestable things.
And can you imagine that? Can you imagine all of our people just being 100% righteous?
Wow.
Just seeking and saying, you know what? I think I do want to stay away from these unclean foods. I think I...
That's why.
Exactly. You know?
Salak, go ahead, brother.
No, I mean, you can finish your thought.
No, because that's why we out here fighting so hard, man. That thought alone makes you just want to go even harder for the truth, man. You see guys like this at his right with a full beard and an afro, man.
Exactly.
Walking regularly with a chain of Edomites behind him, man.
Right.
That's right. I'm fighting.
That's right.
Man. Even though he's in that estate, that's what it's gonna be like in the kingdom, man. For this nigga to have to be in his right mind.
But it's
man.
true.
You know, as wicked as our people are, man, we fighting so we don't have to see this shit.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Let's keep going to that.
It says, man, neither shall they defile themselves anymore with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions. But I will save them out of all their dwelling places, wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their power. And David, my servant, shall be king over them. And they also shall have one shepherd. They shall also walk in my judgments, and observe my statutes and do them. And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt. And they shall dwell therein, even they and their children, and their children's children, forever.
Wow. Exactly. The scriptures say when the Lord comes back, he's going to plant his people in that land, and their children and their children's children are going to dwell there forever.
So that means we're going to be having sex in the kingdom.
I mean, hold on. Is that not prophecy?
That's prophecy.
So sex is prophecy?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Yes, sir.
I'm just making sure we read that right.
Yes, sir.
Right? Because how come they don't teach that too? I mean, they talk about what? I mean, I've literally heard pastors say that the kingdom of heaven is you're really floating in the clouds. I mean, you're floating up there and you're singing songs and hymns all day. Now, a part of that is right, but not the floating. We gonna fly. So hold on, they didn't all the way lie.
That's right.
They told half of the truth. But guess what? Because the spirit of prophecy is only among a select few on earth, then they're not able to expound upon these scriptures. That's exactly why they don't go into it.
Yeah, if you can read that scripture one more time.
25, this is Ezekiel 27 and 25 again. And it says, and they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt, and they shall dwell therein, even they and their children and their children's children forever. And my servant David shall be their prince forever.
Well, it says something to the extent of us being clean. But I was just gonna say, in the previous verse, Baba Kasha.
24, I think. It's 23. I'm gonna read 23. It says, neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions. But I will save them out of all their dwelling places wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them.
See? And will cleanse them. Man, one thing I've been dwelling on lately and wholeheartedly is us just shedding this flesh, man. This flesh, the innumerable sins we've done in this flesh, the abominations that we perform in this flesh, the mind that we have in this flesh, the way of life in this flesh, it's gonna be done away with, man. When we shed this flesh, the Heavenly Father's gonna put us He's gonna put our spirit into a flesh that's actually gonna have us be great, man. All right? We're gonna actually perform righteousness. We're gonna know what it is to feel righteous all the time, man.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, you may have times when you have a spiritual high, but then Satan come, you have the lowest spiritual encounter you ever had in your life, man. We're successful, we're accessible to that in this flesh, man. All right, but when the Heavenly Father allows us to shed this flesh, we're gonna be fully clean, man.
Which the process has already started, man.
That's right.
With the purification of the word, man. Sanctify them through that truth. That word is truth. Through the washing of the word, man. It's like I did a video, man. I was meditating on it. It's like you got a white carpet and you got a glass of red wine and you just throw it, throw it on the carpet and with a bunch of other things. We're stained, man. Our people are stained. Okay, and the only thing that's gonna be able to cleanse them and get them stains off of them, it's this word, man. It's this truth. It's Yahweh Shai. That's the point of Yahweh Shai, man. That's what he came to do. So
1 Corinthians 15 and 54. So when this corruptible shall put on incorruption, and this mortal shall put on immortality,
Talk about our bodies.
then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory.
Right, because this is starting right now, but we will physically, literally be no longer subject to sin.
Right.
And if that's the case, that means there's no what? There's going to be no more death to the nation of Israel. Because only the laws, statutes, and commandments are going to be written in our inward parts. Now let's jump into prophecy because what he's... Go ahead,
and then just a quick add on what the brother said, and then so after that point, there's going to be no point for Esau. There's going to be no more point for the sword of the Lord to be here, to be upon us, because we're going to be in perfection, man. We're going to be able to judge, There's no more need for him, man. So he's going to serve his term, and his ass going to be put out forever, man.
Yeah. You got the precept?
Isaiah 35 and 10. And the ransom of the Lord shall return and come to Zion with songs and everlasting joy upon their heads. They shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away.
Oh yeah, because the scriptures say you're bought back with a price and your body's not your own. So we're bought back by who? The blood of Yahweh Shai, that perfect lamb. You see? And when it says ransom, that's basically, look, it's the same exact thing. Ransom just means to be bought back. And if that's the case, then we have to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. The mercy of Yahweh for creating his only begotten son Yahweh Shai, and for Yahweh Shai going through that very gruesome, very torturous and torment that he went through on that cross. That's why we got to keep pushing, because listen, he's not coming back to do that again. And our people act like the Lord is just going to come back one day and then all this is going to just work its way over and that they're going to get a second chance. This is the last captivity that we're going through.
That's right.
This is the last one that we're going to be in, and the elect believe that and have 100% faith in it. That's why it says put on as the elect.
That's right.
We're not going to be in a spirit of, well, God raised us up just to preach his word and bring forth prophecy so that we can go through captivity again. It doesn't even make any sense. Now the Lord said he's coming back to save us when we read in the book of Ezekiel 37. So what are we being saved from? Because contrary to literally popular belief, America